Okay, so I'm going to talk about the first reason that I'm in a financial hardship, and that's actually something I've talked about several times before and has been going on for a very long time, and that's having cancer. I got cancer in 2008 and have been financially struggling ever since then, and it's not so much a factor of cancer. Like, I've come to this determination now that cancer by itself, even though it horribly sucks and is absolutely terrible, is not as bad as what the medical industry has made it to be, right? The medical industry is the reason why I've been struggling for almost 15 years now. The medical industry is the reason for why I lost almost 35 pounds of muscle, and why my thyroid is completely screwed up and I have to go get thyroid medication that I take every single day, right? That's the medical industry. They're a $4 trillion industry that's also the #1 cause of personal bankruptcy in the US. I mean, that's, talk about something like, that shouldn't be the case, right? And the thing is, if you're a cancer patient or survivor, it doesn't matter if you have insurance or not. That's still the #1 cause of bankruptcy. Is like, if you have the right diagnosis, it does not matter. The medical industry is going to just nickel and dime you and overcharge you so much that you're going to have to declare bankruptcy because you can't pay your bills. I'm on this thing now because I can't pay my bills, right? But the thing is that it's so much, I guess, better or worse when you start to find out the statistics of this thing. Because I learned this just a while back. I used to be on a schedule of getting MRI checkups, and for a while I was getting a checkup once every quarter, like 4 times a year. I think that was for like 3 years, and then I was getting a checkup once every 6 months for 5 years, and then once every 12 months for another 5 years, and then right around 2019 I was put on a schedule of like once every 18 months, right? And then COVID happened, and I was kind of like, hey, I'm gonna not do this, right? I push it back, and I actually had a lady who was like in the clinic who was scheduling me. She was like, well, when do you want your next visit? And I was like, whenever you stop testing for COVID, right? Because I'm an economist. I know that if I want money, I need to go to where money is being made. If I want COVID, I go to where COVID is at, right? And I know of people who went to the hospital for entirely different reasons, got COVID while they were there. So I was like, I'm not doing that, man. I'm not, like, this is just a checkup, and I've been clean for years. I haven't had any reoccurrence whatsoever, right? So I did that, kind of put a stop to it. Super glad that I did, because about a year after that I found out, because I read stuff about my brain tumor and about where things are at, and as far as like researching is going, and there was a guy who was trying to come up with a new treatment specifically for my type of tumor. Now, as an adult, my type of tumor is super freaking rare. It's like once every 40 years rare to have my cancer happen in an adult, but like in kids, it's actually pretty common, right? But it's also something that will pop up and kill you really quickly, which is why most my kids don't ever make it to being adults. If they have it, or if they get it and they get clean, it doesn't come back. And so, like I said, super rare for it to happen in adults, but it happens a lot in kids. I was reading up on this thing, and it was very important that they find a new treatment, and this gentleman was talking about why. And he gave 2 statistics that I found incredibly important, that I wish I had known years ago. first one is that a reoccurrence of my type of cancer has only ever happened within the first 3 years after you have completed treatment. Okay, never has it happened after 3 years. 3 years after I was diagnosed or after I finished treatment, I should have been done. I shouldn't have been getting MRIs for another 10 freaking years, right? One of these MRIs, one of these checkups cost over $4,000. Alright, that was prior to COVID. That was prior to everything, prices increasing. Okay, back then it cost over $4 grand. Alright, I remember I was telling you I got one every 6 months for 5 years and one every 12 months for another 5 years. That's a lot of money. I spent a lot of time working my ass off for what? So somebody could like make a yacht payment, right? I mean, literally, I should have been done. Now, you could say that they may not have known that statistic back then. That's fine, but whenever they found it out, they should have told me. They should have been like, oh, we don't need to do this anymore. You've been past the 3-year mark for a very long time. You've been cancer-free for a very long time. You're not going to get it. Alright, so that was the first statistic that I found extremely interesting. The second statistic was one about reoccurrence, okay? A reoccurrence of my type of cancer means that cancer cells have mutated and grown resistant to the treatment that they originally had, okay? The statistic is that it's 100% chance of death. If you get a reoccurrence, you're not going to survive it. The treatment that you get will only ever prolong your life, maybe, but it won't get rid of the cancer. It's going to kill you. You're going to die. That's why it was so important for this guy to find new treatments that the cancer cells haven't grown resistant to, so that they could actually work on people who get a reoccurrence. So, for 10 years, or even 3 years after I was completed treatment, if I had gotten a reoccurrence, I wouldn't have survived, right? I would have just been given more medication that would have prolonged my life until I died a painful, miserable death from cancer that affects your brain and how your muscles work, right? I still would have died. Either which way, I would have died. But having the medication, I would have felt bad every single day up to that. Remember, I've already been through, treatment and stuff like that. I know what it feels like. I threw up every single day for months because of their treatment, right? And my thyroid is messed up because of their treatment, right? And they would have put me back on that for no real reason, right? Just to, like I said, prolong my life while I suffer, and they will get paid either way. In fact, they'll probably get paid after I would die, right? That's how the medical industry works. But there's again no real point in telling me, oh, you've got a reoccurrence, other than oh, you've got X amount of time before you die. Here's some more medication. They'll give you maybe another month or a week or two, but you're still going to die from it, right? So I wasn't too happy to learn that. I read it several times, and was really kind of angry that I had essentially wasted a decade of my life giving myself and spending so much time to a $4 trillion industry that's also the #1 cause of bankruptcy in the U.S. All right, an industry that makes its money off of the pain and suffering of other people. Okay, and I don't blame any of the doctors and nurses about this. They probably didn't even know, right? But the people on top, yeah, they should have known better. But they don't see people as people. They see them as dollar signs. They see a number on page. And that's what it had. It had a medical record number, right? And so, yeah, that's kind of like I said, that's one of the reasons why this has followed me and been a thing for so long, is because of the medical industry and their incredible bills. And I'm not the only one, right? Any cancer survivor has had extreme amounts of medical debt and bills that they have to pay, and most of them are still doing. Some of them are still on medication right now. It's a huge deal, especially when you consider almost half the population of the U.S., 300 million people, right? Over half of them, about half of them, are going to get cancer in their lifetime, right? This is an industry that's so good that they're going to let half the population get cancer, okay? Because there's no money in either preventing or curing it, but there's a lot in treating it, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to keep treating it because that's where they're make their money. And they're going to keep doing that until you die. Oh, but yeah, so that's like the first main reason that started back in 2008 and has continued even till now. Got medical debt, and I've been doing my best to like push some of these things off or just outright cancel them just to avoid having to pay needlessly. Some of them I can't, like I have to see my endocrinologist in order to get more of the thyroid medication that I have to take every single day just to be alive. So, yeah, cancer sucks.